late because of the technical difficulties?
It's really not, it's just my,
No, don't say that. It's just technical difficulties. So I don't see anybody for public comments. So I'll skip that. Finance, we have a treasurer's report that Doug provided us. Perhaps he'll expatiate on that a bit. Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome. How are you, Ray? Hi, Holly.
Okay.
hey, Doug.
Really not a lot to report on this month. Had a little some delinquent taxes that had come in March. So we had the little over 8,000 that had come in for delinquent taxes. Tuition paid out to a couple of schools. This month, once we get to the warrants, which I believe are next, so our balances right now are shade over 500,000, and our outgoing is about 410,000. But I spoke to Jim and Alice, and the next round of state aid is due on April 30th. So we should be fine going forward. I just wanted to confirm that before we put the warrants on for approval. But both Jim and Alice felt comfortable that state aid was incoming. So other than that, unless anybody has any other questions, there's really not that much else to report this month.
Yeah, I would point out that this warrant is high because due to error, back when we were waiting for the state support grant back in September, we held off payment for a bit on some assessments to the supervisory union.
Correct.
And, so we're making up for those assessments because they got forgotten in the appropriate warrant since.
Right. And it actually ends up almost being a double because the next round was due, and that's why Jim or Alice realized that we hadn't paid the one prior. So right, it is basically a double payment for that. Yep. But we'll be caught up and current on that.
Yep. So that's why it's so large. It wouldn't be this large normally.
Yep.
And we have one more. I mean, we have let's see, April. We have one more payment to the village school, and I think we have some payments to the other independents.
Yeah, I think there's a few smaller ones in addition to the one more to the village school. That's correct.
So
yeah, and then we have a few. Then we have a few months off before we start back up.
Right, July. We may have some small payments to make in June.
Correct. Right. Yeah, they'll still be regular, bills, quote unquote, to pay. Correct.
Yeah. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, the balance was a little bit higher than I had thought when Jim was first saying that it was a little over 410. So, we will have once everything is paid, we will still have about 100,000 in there prior to the state aid coming through.
Okay.
Yep.
So I guess we should just move to the consent agenda, which is the minutes from March 8th. Our reorganization meeting after the election that Lori's provided us, and the warrants that we were just speaking of. And if I go to the packet, okay. So I would offer a motion to accept the consent agenda, which would be the minutes from March 8th, 23, excuse me. And,
a motion.
As is, and to pay the warrants, our bills, as in the packet. You can find that. I can't find it at the moment, but let's see here. No.
I'll make the motion if you need it, Ray.
Yeah, so there's $410,216 really. And there's also, part of that is a payment to me for sitting at the polls and working at the polls on March 9th.
I'll
And
second the motion.
also other poll workers and all the assessments we mentioned, plus payments to Lori for minutes and village school and Highland Hall. Okay, so thank you. And all in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all of us. It's unanimous. We move on to our no policies. The superintendent is not here and Holly is not going to be required to give a report for us.
I get nothing.
She's done her job by finding.
Yeah, I'm here to run the technology and I failed miserably, so swing and a miss.
Okay, so we're really to the end of our work. I have a few things to bring up. I was going to bring this up with the superintendent, but I'll just mention it because I'll have to email him about this. I was asked by a parent in our district, he was concerned about his younger child, not getting into, he's hearing that this child will not be able to attend kindergarten at Shasberry. And so I was going to ask about, how they make these decisions at Shasberry and what the situation is and whether it's fluid or whether it's all set. And so I said I would bring that up, and I will follow up by sending an email to Jim and to Jeff Johnson at Shasberry and ask him about this and see if this is going to loosen up and or not, if this parent has to make other plans. The second thing, there's one other thing. I didn't have a pencil. I was going to write it down.
Try pencil.
No, don't do me any good. It's got to come out of my head first. And so I thought we would talk a little bit about H 483, which is currently in the Senate Education Committee. But I think we will have a bigger conversation about this next month and with Dina Atwood, the SDSU attorney. But I have been paying attention to, I've listened to the testimony when I can find it on online, live, and also what's posted up there for that's already occurred. And so today I listened to the Legislative Council on March 7th, the Legislative Council ran through H 483 and discussed it fairly thoroughly. And then there was a further discussion with her today about some of the provisions. And the head of school of the Compass School, which is a small school over northeast side of the state that works pretty well with its local district to help kids who are having trouble. It's not what's called a therapeutic school. It's not a special ed school per se, but it's like Matt would know this because we listened to testimony from some young adults that who were at Long Trail about their experiences and how their academic careers got straightened out when they went to Long Trail. And so these kids have similar issues. And he was arguing, I'm doing this because this introduces it to, I think, what from my perspective or some of the more objectionable parts of this legislation, which are that it wants to prevent independent schools from having an admissions process where they can interview parents and children and students and make, learn something about them to see if they're going to be served really well with their particular independent school. The head of school from Compass made some very salient points about that, I think. And he pointed out that a lot of the students that come to that school, which is a secondary school, have had issues in the public schools they were in. Some of them are, have characteristics that cause them to be harassed, bullied, among other things. But others are just learning issues, given their context. And he strongly argued that it would be good to have some sort of admissions process because he wants to know, and the parents want to know, everybody wants to know that their child's going to have success here. And not every child will have success in every school. And we all know that. That's the truth. And I had written to Brian Campion, who's the chair of this committee. And one of the things I pointed out was that I'd seen an email from the head of the mountain school, Stratton Mountain School, about just this issue that, that particular school is for competitive athletes. And there are some students from the mountain towns who go there, and the costs are much higher than the tuition that can be offered by the district that they're in. But it does help pay the costs. And if you aren't a competitive skier or a competitive snowboarder or whatever else goes on there, and really committed to that, then the school's not really for you. So that was one of my issues, but the others are related somewhat to that, in that if you take a look at the policy, the tuitioning policy for students who are out of district, that's on our SVSU website for Shaftesbury. I didn't look at the others, but I think they're similar. It details an admissions process. And that process is to begin with an initial interview and with information, whatever information there may be about academic progress and other things about the student's career. So my point was that all our students who decide to attend public schools, their neighboring public schools out of our district, are theoretically faced with this issue. There's a gate about if their class sizes are too large already, they can be excluded by the policies of the school. And secondly, there are these exactly the sorts of things that are mentioned in the H-483 as inadmissible for an independent school are permitted for just for admission of a school coming from out of district to public school, certainly in the SVSU. So I sent that to Brian, and I listened to this today, which had a lot of discussion of that very point, and I didn't hear any any mention of my points, so I emailed him, and he said to wait a bit, so I'm going to wait. I'd be interested if anybody else has any thoughts about this legislation, anything else, any thoughts that maybe are different from mine that I can convey, since I am keeping track of it. So.
I think you pretty much framed it up, Ray. I've been following it as well, and I appreciate your diligence on that.
Yeah. I thought Tim Newbold said he was going to be testifying again, but I'm not sure when that happens.
I think that was today, perhaps.
No, actually, no, excuse me. What happened is they took him off the docket. He's not clear why. They took him off and put someone else in.
That was the head of school at Compass. Yep.
So that was supposed to be today at 3:30.
Yep. That's when he testified. So, okay. So I don't know if they're going to have, they're still not done with this bill, and I don't know if they're going to have other independent schools testifying or Visa testifying. I will continue to follow it, and hopefully Matt will too. So if we can put a few words in edgewise. And there's something that's going to drop into my head just after we close this meeting. I can't remember it.
Ray, are you putting thoughts together of what to email Jim about and talk to him?
Yes, I am.
Because I have one. Mine was much so more of the recent bomb threats in Massachusetts and New York.
The recent what?
Bomb threats to schools
Uh-huh.
and their response and the way they responded and stuff like that. So I just didn't know if I wanted to see, pick Jim's ear, pick his brain to see what the SVSU's policy and action plan is in case something like that happened.
Well, it already happened.
Yeah, it happened. It happened earlier this year already. Vermont was swatted before New York and Mass.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yep.
So they had a plan in place, and police came out and did a thorough search, and so there was a
But
lockdown.
that was during school. I'm wondering what's the policy before, like if you get notified and something happens before school. Because I heard a lot of, like, my old alma mater, they were letting kids in the school and without knowing if there was a bomb in there and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Kind of situation, even though the superintendent got the email at like before midnight and didn't check the email until about 5 o'clock in the morning. So, but authorities were notified, but they still let kids in the school, kind of thing.
Right, they were notified after school was open and started.
Yeah.
Is that what
So
I-
I was just curious what the policy was, if it was done before school, then if they have something in place like that, or just kind of curious of how they would handle it, because I know it's not, fortunately, it's not going to go away.
Right. Well, I would encourage you to write up your thoughts, and if you wish, I'll tweak it if I want to, or think it needs it, and then I'll send it to him.
Yeah, I'll shoot you an
And
email.
pose it for you. The other thing I forgot about, I remember this, and now
Light bulbs,
what?
light bulbs,
Yeah, no. It's,
HVAC,
no.
anything fun?
Elevator.
No, not elevator. Oh, do you want to talk about the elevator thing? Please do.
What's that?
Do you want to talk about the elevator?
Well, no, I
There
just
is-
thought that might be the thing, that because Terrence sent a thing about that.
Yes, and I asked him, how does this differ from what they're supposed to be doing under their contract? It seemed pretty picayune to me.
Yeah, I opened up the proposal but didn't read it. So-
Right, well, it's a lot of, tweaking doors and so forth and so on, which sounded to me like something they should be doing anyway under a maintenance contract. So I'm asking him for particulars, and then, we can talk about it as a group. We're all the facility committee now, but it seems like there's already a substantial maintenance cost contract. But I don't, if that's just geared to inspections, I'm not sure that's what it is. So I don't really know whether this is a legitimate thing to spend $3,700 on. At any rate,
Did that jog your memory on what you were wanting to bring up, or?
oh, it's so close. Yep, it's
Well,
darn it.
Vended meal agreement? We're closer on that.
Sorry, what?
Vended meal agreement?
No, that I don't have anything to do with.
Oh, okay. I'm working on it. Get there.
Good. Well, we should get there because they're probably going to pass that lunch.
The House did.
Yes, I think the Senate is going to, and I've listened to some of the testimony there. And it's good because, people want an explanation of why you want to do this. And there was some good points about the fact that it actually improves the amount of kids who actually take meals. So the operations is improved. And of course, it doesn't, whatever in it, I know we don't identify kids in this district, but we don't have a process that identifies it, but kids know this. And it's like, you just want to take that away.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
You
And
never know. Let's just feed them all. Just get their bellies full.
yeah, right. And I think that's important. So hopefully that does happen. But I'm so angry. I had this in mind when I walked in. I can't bridge it up at the moment. I will let you know when I think of it.
Okay.
I can hold you while I try to get my brain to surface something that's resubmerged.
so are we done?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, unless you want to say something else. I would say one other thing, the student enrollment that's attached in this agenda was incorrect. And I don't know why it was incorrect, because Jim Kosis knew the numbers. I don't know why they can't get the numbers correct when they put it into this. And plus, on students who are in pre-K triple E, the pre-K elementary special education, they list only the two from North Bennington. There are none in any other district. I don't know. That's not true. I know that's not true, but they're not showing it. And I've gone around and around about that enrollment report many times, and it keeps trying to disappear our kids, and I don't think that's right. So, anything else from anyone else?
How many kids are we supposed to have, Ray?
We have 110.
I was gonna
That's
say
our
100,
final
132 seems like an awful lot.
What? Sorry?
gonna say 132 seems like an awful lot.
Yeah, but it's not correct. It's low. Because they have, they're missing about 90, they had 92, and it's 109. So 107. So that's 15 kids they're missing. At the K-6 level. So, it should have relative accuracy. At least they're showing some kids at the K-6 level for us.
Our K6 is showing 132.
Yeah, that's not correct number, I'm telling you.
It's
Correct number is 140 something. And then there's pre-K kids added onto that because our actual number is about between 165 and 170. So. Okay, that's all I've got. No one else has anything else, so
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
yeah, and I'll accept it. Good night, thank you.
Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.